So I'm going to be teaching y'all today how to prepare and smoke barbecue pork ribs. So first, let's go over the ingredients. I have some seasonings I've prepared. It's barbecue rub. You can use basically whatever you want. I've mixed a few things in here, and I like to add a bit of brown sugar. So you just want to mix all your seasonings together. So it's a personal preference. I personally like to make my rub more spicy than sweet, and I like to use my marinade to be a bit sweeter. I find it a great contrast. So now that that's mixed together, next ingredient is our marinade, which I've kind of mixed a few things together, but you can use store-bought marinade, you can make your own, or you can use a simple barbecue sauce. But if you do use barbecue sauce, you want to add a little water to, I don't know, make it less. Tools you'll need: something to baste your ribs with, a sharp knife to quarter the ribs pretty much, or half them, depending on how long you're going to cook them. The thicker, bigger piece of the meat, the longer it takes to cook. I like to cut mine in half generally and cook faster. And for that, you'll just need some Ziploc bags, a gallon bag. And then for the ingredients, your rack of ribs, your rub, and your marinade. So if I like to half mine, so if you're going to do that, I get a gallon size bag. Basically just look on the meat, there can fit in there. So obviously we only need to cut this in 2 pieces. What you're going to want to do is flip the rack of ribs over and kind of cut between the bones. So there's about half, and make sure you have a sharp knife to get through the fat. Careful not to cut one of the bones. Alright, so you have each rack of ribs, and you're going to want to rub down the ribs with your selected rub. It's all personal preference. Like I said, I like mine to be a bit more spicy, so I would get more pepper, some paprika and cayenne, but just a touch of brown sugar. So after you rub these down, you're going to want to let them sit at room temperature, kind of let the rub penetrate the... Okay, so we'll just start by sprinkling a little bit of seasoning on each of these. You can be generous, but you do want to make sure you get all over each rack of ribs, because I think more flavor comes from the seasoning than it does the marinade. So once you sprinkle some on, you're going to want to just physically rub it into the meat. Add a bit extra. Like I said, don't be afraid to use a lot of seasoning. There's not much flavor back here, but I still like to add some seasoning. As you can see, it's just a membrane and some bones, but make sure to get all along the fat too. That's where your flavor comes from. Alright, so now that you've rubbed both racks of ribs, you're going to want to let them sit and get to room temperature. Really let those seasonings penetrate and soak into the meat. So we'll be back in 45 minutes to an hour. And we're back. Now that the meat has set for about an hour, and let the seasoning really penetrate the meat, we're going to want to take a rack of ribs and place them in a gallon-sized bag. We're going to do this for each rib in separate bags. So you'll take your preferred marinade, it's all personal preference, and you're going to want to pour some of that into the bag. Once it's poured into the bag, you should get all the air out. Going to oil it around and make sure the marinade covers, gets every inch of your rack of ribs. Okay, so after you've covered both racks of rib in your marinade, place them in the bag. You're going to want to put them in the refrigerator overnight so they can marinate and be ready to smoke tomorrow morning. So after you've left your 2 racks of ribs in the fridge overnight for 24 hours, you want to get them out and set them at room temperature, because today we are going to smoke both of these ribs. So to begin, the ingredients and tools you'll need for today. A little bit of your marinade for basting, some more of your seasoning. We're going to talk a little bit later about how to create a bark, which is the outer edge of your rack of ribs. Personal preference again, so wood chips is what creates the smoke. I like to use cherry wood, something not so bitter. Mesquite sometimes tends to be bitter. That's basically it for your ingredients today. We won't be using anything else. But for your tools, you'll need your baster, some lighter fluid to get your charcoal going, something to pick up your rack of ribs. I like to use a pig's tail. I guess you could use gloves or, I don't know, tongs, but this is the easiest by far. And then you'll need a smoker or a grill. Let's get started. So our smoker internal temperatures reach about 225, and right before you add your meat, I like to throw a bit of my chips on to let the smoke build up before you put your meat in there, and it kind of keeps your fire hot as well. Alright, so now that it's nice and smoky, you're going to take your ribs, unwrapped, basically basted in the sauce, and I want to lay them meat side up on your smoker. So the smoking that we're going to be doing today is not really it's the simplest, quickest way to smoke. It's still not very quick. With prep included and give or take 30 minutes, it's a 6-hour smoke. It can come out to be 5, it really depends on your temperature. Right now we're sitting, since I had it open, around 200, but you just want to keep adding your charcoal and your wood chips to your offset smoker just to keep that temperature balanced. Can't really leave it alone. You gotta watch it and make sure your temperature stays in between 250 and 225. So now that it's been 2 hours, we're gonna take our ribs out, baste them, season them, and wrap them in tin foil. After you take them off, you want to make it as quick as possible so we don't lose temperature, adding just a bit of seasoning. And then you want to baste with some barbecue sauce. Not too much, not too little. Now that we have both racks wrapped up, we're going to make sure our temperature is nice and hot. Get it back up to where it needs to be, about 225. Alright, so now we've come up on our 4th hour of smoking, and we want to unwrap them, lay them back down on the smoker, meat side up, and you want to season them lightly and then baste them lightly, and we'll let them sit for about an hour to create a bark, pretty much, which is the dark black outer. Reached our 5th hour, our final hour of unwrapped. And as you can see, they've got like a nice dark tone to them. They're really tender. You don't want to undercook them, but after 6 hours at 225 to 250 is just about done. So we'll take them off, and you want to let them sit for about 10 minutes to keep the flavor in before you cut into them. So we'll take these off and serve them up. So today I've taught y'all how to smoke your own barbecue pork ribs. Taught you the rub, the materials you need, the marinade, and everything you need to do to get some tasty ribs in just under 6 hours. So I hope you can try this yourself. Thank you.